So I'm just checking to make sure things are working. Can you hear me, Tommy?
I can hear you, John.
All right, Josh can hear me. And I can hear Josh, so that's a good sign.
I can hear you as well.
Okay. I noticed that, Tommy, some of the members have a symbol in front of them. Does that mean they're not promoted yet?
Can you hear me okay? This is Kathleen.
Hi, Kathleen, I can hear you.
Great, thanks.
You have your fan on, John? I'm picking up some background noise.
I do. I'll mute because it's kind of sweltering in the building. I guess we didn't expect it to hit 94 or whatever it hit today or yesterday. So the building's rather warm. Yeah, it's only 75 now. What's the big deal? But you know how the building is. It is never quite right.
Looks like we do have quorum, but we don't have Victoria or Gail on yet. So we might want to hold off for a minute while people join remotely.
And Tommy, Karen Rowe is here representing Manitou Springs. Can you promote her into a speaking role? She just texted me and said that she's turned off.
You know what? I'm actually
Oh, there you are.
I'm able to talk now. Yeah, when I first came in, it showed it all grayed out. But then when I was done sending you the email, it showed I could talk. So thank you.
Well, I hesitate to start the meeting without El Paso County and Colorado Springs. However, Scott from El Paso County is here, and I believe in the room is Todd, right? So we technically do have the big guys represented, and I think our third in command after those two is Dan Underling. There's Dan. So Dan, I'll leave it at your discretion since you're third in command. We've come to the appointed time and place, and you have a quorum, so you may call the meeting to order when you see fit.
Will do. Let's give him a few more minutes just so that I don't lessen the chance that I'm going to mess up a meeting. So give him a few more minutes to join.
Victoria's on vacation, so I don't think she'll be joining us.
Thanks,
Okay.
Scott.
Well, let's go ahead and start the meeting then. So I'd call the meeting to order at 1:34. Why don't we go ahead and start? We want to do introductions then? So my name's Dan Ungerleider. I'm the planning director for the Town of Monument.
Yeah, and with your permission, Dan, I think it might be faster if we just sort of call people out instead of the whole sort of like, oh, who goes next? So I'll just
Yes,
step
please.
up and do it. Yep, if somebody thinks I'm overstepping my bounds, I apologize, but I don't think we want to be here forever waiting for people to turn on the mic. In the room, we have Todd Frisbee. Hi, Todd. Online, Danelle Miller, PPACG staff. We've got Tom Superfine Rivera, PPACG staff, Josh Squires, PPACG staff, Lisa, PPACG staff, and we have Matthew from MMT. Do you want to say hello, Matt? Or do we need to promote?
Good afternoon, Matthew Helfand, Mountain Metro Transit.
All right, thanks, Matt. We've got Scott Barnhart. You want to unmute and say hi, Scott?
Hi, Scott.
I walked right into that one. We've got William the Mast with PPACG. We have Karen Rowe representing Manitou Springs today. Karen, you want to say hi?
Hello.
Kathleen Collins, CDOT headquarters.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. Darren, you want to say hi?
Hi.
Okay. Jeff Guthrie, Region 2. Say howdy.
Howdy everyone, Jeff Guthrie, Region 2 Planning.
All right, next we have Scott Skinner. Scott, how about you say Heidi Ho?
Hey ho, Scott Skinner, Transit Liaison for Region 2, CDOT.
All right, next on my list I have Lindsay Jaquez. Hello, Lindsay, say hi, howdy to the nice folks.
Howdy doody, everyone. Good afternoon.
All right, we've got Stacy Palmer Lake.
Yes, good afternoon, Stacy Belosier, Palmer Lake Public Works.
Abba, you want to say hi?
Hey everybody, Abba Vivetti, City of Fountain.
Okay, we've got Aaron with FHWA, and I know he's not going to be able to stay with us the whole time, but hi, Aaron.
Hello, this is Aaron Busto with Federal Highways.
We've got Lan Rowe, MMT.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Hello, Lan. We've got Christina Leach. She's with Cambridge Systematics, our wonderful consultant for the freight plan presentation in a little bit. Hello, Christina.
Hi.
And last but not least, we have Jesse, PPACG staff. So with that, somebody, if you want to jump in, if I missed you, please do so now. Otherwise, that would conclude our introductions, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, John. Entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Matthew Helfand, Mountain Metro Transit. I make a motion to approve the agenda.
Thanks, Matthew. Second?
Abba Vivetti, City of Fountain, I second.
Thank you. We've got a first and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone not in favor? Motion passes. Are there any public comments today, John?
I think the way it has to go is I read this thing and then anybody tells me if, Todd, tell me if there's somebody there, or Tommy, tell me if there's anybody online. But public comments can be made before or during the meeting. Public comments during the meeting is limited to 3 minutes and can be done at the meeting location or remotely by using the posted Microsoft Teams link. Individuals are encouraged to notify the meeting organizer before the start of the meeting with the agenda item they would like to comment on. Public comments can be submitted before the meeting via email for distribution to committee members. So Tommy, do we have anybody online? And Todd, do we have anybody in the room? We'll take the awkward silence as you're ready to keep moving there, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. So we've got to approve the minutes of the May 21st meeting. Any kind of discussion, any points to raise? Otherwise, I'd accept a motion to approve the minutes of the May 21st TAG meeting.
Scott Barnhart, El Paso County. I move that we approve the minutes of the last meeting.
Thank you, sir. A second? I'm going to use a Victoria thing and start calling out names.
Abad Babadi, I second.
Thank you. All in favor of approving the minutes from the May 21st meeting, say aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion passes to approve the minutes of the May 21st meeting. Next item is Board of Directors report.
I was not at the Board of Directors report. Danelle?
Yes,
Were you here? Okay.
I was. Let me just grab my notes here. Let's see. We had a couple of interesting, although not transportation related, public presentations. We had some folks come to speak with us on the soul of civility and on how to how to work well with others in public settings and how to kind of get by some of the politics. So that was a really interesting presentation. If you're at all interested in that, please reach out to us. We can get you some more information on that. Let's see, on a transportation, from the transportation perspective, the board did approve the release for public comment for the public participation plan. That one again is a 45-day comment period, so it's a little odd. We won't see it again for a little bit. Jared Verner gave a fairly lengthy legislative update, and we did have our state lobbyists in the building to kind of give a rundown on the state portion, and then Jared chimed in on the federal and specifically on the Build America 250 information. So we can talk a little bit about that later in the meeting under the IIJA item. But Jared has dug in quite a bit. If you have any specific questions, please let us know and we'll try to get those answered for you. We did also do a presentation, just an information item on the UPWP, which I believe is the next item on your agenda. And that was really it in terms of transportation items at the board this month.
Thanks, Danelle. Oh, if everyone's okay, let's move forward to action items. The first item is the Unified Planning Work Program recommendation to release for public comment. Danelle, it's yours.
Yes, thank you. Can you all see the agenda and the items, or is that not coming through at all?
I don't see it.
I'm not seeing.
Now
Okay.
we do.
Oh,
There it is.
Okay, got it. Okay, so
Well, right now we have the freight plan up. Can we go back to the UPWP? There we go.
there we go.
We got the right thing up now.
All right, so we have, as you know, we looked at this last month as an information item. Staff has amended the Unified Planning Work Program to reflect funding changes and work tasks for federal fiscal year 27. The draft document was provided to the committees and the board for review in the past month. We did receive a few comments from FHWA that have been integrated into the UPWP. In particular, there was some kind of holdover information about complete streets that we didn't really need to call out the way we had. So we have made those adjustments in the actual document going forward. And at this point, I'm more than happy again to go through any of the Unified Planning Work Program. But since you have seen it before, I won't go into detail unless you're really interested. We are asking for a recommendation to release this document. That would be a 30-day public comment period. And then, of course, we would bring it back to you for recommendation for approval. Any questions on this?
Appears there are no questions. So you're looking for a motion or a motion to release this for public comment. Anyone interested in making that motion?
So
I
Scott
would
with
be
El Paso
interested.
County, I move to release the plan for public comment.
Okay, thank you. Second.
This is Todd Frisbee with City of Colorado Springs. I second the motion.
Thank you. All in favor of approving the motion to release the UPWP for a public comment? Say aye.
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 Any opposed? The ayes have it. We can move on to the next item. Item B is Transportation Improvement Program Regional Management Reserve Policy. And Josh, you've got this one.
Yes, thank you, Dan. Tommy, would you be able to pull up that spreadsheet, or can I just go to that? Thank you. While he's doing that, I can get started. So good afternoon, Tech. Thanks for attending virtual here as we get our parking lot done. So at the May TAC meeting, staff presented the fiscal year 26 reconciliation results and discussed recurring differences between the forecasted and actual federal funding that's available through the annual obligation limitations and the overall reconciliation process. During that discussion, TAC requested staff to develop a draft regional management reserve policy and to evaluate levels of 1% reserve, 1.5%, and a 2% reserve. So just a little more background, the purpose of this regional management reserve is to reduce the need for PPACG and our jurisdictions to adjust funding for already programmed projects if actual funding availability comes below CDOT's forecasts. So the reserve would apply to the funding sources that are only programmed by PPACG, such as STB Metro, TAP, CRP, and MMOF. Under that proposed policy, a percentage of the annual funding forecasts would be held in reserve during TIP development and would not be programmed until that annual obligation limitation and reconciliation processes are completed. So following reconciliation, available reserve funds could be released through the established TIP processes that are in the policy. And the policy also establishes a process for project sponsors to request reserve funding for unseen cost overruns on existing program projects, subject to TAC recommendation and board approval. So I guess today staff is seeking TAC action on kind of two items here. First would be approval of the proposed regional management reserve policy. You keep saying that, it's a tongue twister, for inclusion into the TIP policies and procedures document. That is included in your packet. The policies aren't numbered yet because it's not included in the overall TIP policies and procedures document. So once that policy is approved, I will bring that back. We'll bring that back as an information item next month with the full TIP policies and procedures, just to show where that's sitting in the overall document. So that's the first part. And second, regarding the reserve percentage that should be established. So staff has provided options of a 1%, 1.5%, and 2% here for committee considerations. So these charts here will show the reduction amount for each funding source in each fiscal year based on CDOT's numbers that they gave us. So if you focus on table C there, the total reduction for, say, example, fiscal year 28, if you did the 1% reduction across all three of our funding sources, TAP, CRP, and STB Metro, would be that $117,749. So that's how much the reserve would be holding here. So yeah, any questions that staff could answer? Yes, Matthew.
Yes, I'll just ask once again, just to refresh our memory, does staff have a recommendation?
With discussing with our local CDOT partners, staff believes a 2% could be the best approach. But ultimately that decision is up to our jurisdictions in the TAC here.
Is there any discussion before a motion is made to approve the policy? Okay, we'll continue to move on then. Would someone like to make the motion to approve the policy as proposed?
Well, I think you got to choose one of the 1%, 1.5, or 2% options as well.
I thought that was, the second motion you were looking for. You were looking for approval of the motion first, or approval of the policy itself.
I believe Jeff had a question. I saw his hand pop up.
I was trying to turn on my camera, and John actually, thanks John Leosatos. But yes, the way in the packet materials, the way the motion is written, there is a blank there. So it kind of kills two birds with one stone there.
Okay. Well, do you want to make the motion?
Actually, yeah, Jeff, can you make motions, or is it officially Kathleen and? No, you're the other one, right? There's two from CDOT.
He is
right.
Region 2.
Yeah, so you can if you want.
Figuring there'd be some discussion though before I open my fat mouth.
Is I don't have the camera on in the room anymore as to where I can see. Is sorry, I'm trying to multitask. Todd, yeah, there you are. So Todd's still here. Todd, I think Gail had a lot of thoughts about this at the last meeting, or at least the last meeting I was at with her. Did she say anything to you about a preference of 1.5, or 2?
She did not, and I was just, as you were talking, I was multitasking as well.
Sorry.
On that. Did she have? And I wasn't at the last TAC meeting, so I don't know what her comments might have been or concerns. I mean, if I was going to provide a comment, I would say, why don't we just, for lack of any scientific research on my part, just go with the middle, 1.5.
Jeff, I see you have your hand up here.
Thanks. I can't turn on my camera, but you guys know what I look like. And anyway, my forehead would probably like shine through the camera. Just kidding. Ha ha ha. So you had mentioned that CDOT staff, yours truly, had expressed a preference, and it wasn't a particularly strong preference, just for the group to hear, for the 2% reduction. And really that was just coming from a completely conservative standpoint. And that was based on revenue reconciliation, our favorite exercise in the whole wide world, that we go through at least once a year, if not more than once a year. And those are also, how do I put this? The reconciliation comes as an effect on strong part of CDOT projecting the revenues that we're going to get, and then CDOT, yours truly, giving those projected revenues to the PPACG staff, Josh, Danelle, John, etc. And then we'll come back based on obligation limits at the federal level, and then based on obviously what real revenues are recognized. That's a tongue twister, well, an alliteration. And so again, just for the group to know, when Josh said the 2%, that was really just playing it conservatively. So Todd, I fully appreciate your recommendation for the 1.5%. And I am totally comfortable with that, just for the group to hear, and I'll stop there.
Yep, and I will also say that from our perspective, we're totally comfortable with the 1.5 as well. And again, remember, this is a number that you guys are setting. So if you find next year we've done too much, you can move it back down to 1. If you found that we didn't do enough, you can bump it up to 2. So 1.5, that sounds pretty perfect to me. So unless somebody has something else. Someone who can vote, say call the question, because I can't.
I think I tried to call the question before, so I'll try it again and see if there's anyone who would like to make a motion. And it sounds like we're leaning towards 1.5%. That 2% is the most conservative approach. So would anyone like to make that motion to approve the policy and do the reduction of recommend a 1.5% reduction in reserve?
Dan, I'll make the motion if comment is over. It sounds like it is. I propose that we approve the reserve policy as written, and that for this year we set a goal, or we set aside a 1.5% reserve.
Thank you for making that motion. Anyone would like to make a second to that motion?
Scott Barnhart, El Paso County. I second the motion.
And anyone wish to offer any further discussion before we vote on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor for a motion to approve the motion as read.
Aye.
Oh.
Aye.
Okay, that's 2. It's good. And then any opposed? The motion passes. Thanks, Josh.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's see, back to the agenda. I was looking at the minutes to see if there was any secret information that Gail left behind, but I didn't see anything. So informational items is the next part of the agenda. And we've got the first item is congestion management process update by Danelle.
Yes, thank you. So a couple of months ago, we talked about how we're going to do an update to the congestion management process as one of the first items in our post 2050 long range plan, pre 2055 long range plan. So a lot of this is going to be updates to things that we did as a group a few years back. I believe we last adopted the congestion management process in 2022. So in the tech today, we wanted to look a little bit at the the objectives and goals for the new congestion management process. So what we did was we took the previous goals and objectives and basically took out the old goals, replaced them with the 2050 long range plan goals, and then tried to align either old objectives or some new objectives with that language specific to congestion in the region. And I was going to have Tommy go down to those actual goals, but I don't actually see the attachment in here. Am I missing it? If you go from TAC 48 to page 49, yeah, I think we're missing the attachment on here. Well, let me pull that up, and I can send, it may actually be best for me to just send all of this after the fact so that you can see this all as a group. The second item we were going to talk about is the definitions and corridors of the corridors and hubs that we used in the congestion management process, basically to see if there's any changes that were needed for this particular update. The congestion management process network was something we talked about at length with the TAC prior to the adoption in 2022. We actually held a workshop with the TAC to make those definitions. But we are, of course, always happy to revise those. Will, I think you have your hand up. Is there something you wanted to jump in on the network?
Yeah, thanks, Danelle. I just wanted to let everybody know it is included in our TAC packet, but you'll have to scroll all the way down to the bottom. It looks like they were added in at the end. So TAC packet, page 149, you'll see an overview of the goals that Danelle was referencing. And then following that, there's also the definitions of the different corridors.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just got stuck in the wrong place by accident. Okay, so if you can go, Tommy, to page 150. So these are our long-range plan goals with our new congestion management process objectives. And all of the objectives there in yellow are things that have been either created new or adjusted by staff. So for example, under this long-range plan, goal 1, which is preserve and enhance the function of and access to the existing regional transportation system, we created a CMP objective that is support operational improvements that reduce congestion, as well as maintenance that allows for continued safe operation of the travel network for all modes. So again, we tried to take things that we knew that the TAC had supported previously and adjust those to be more in line with our new wording and our new goal language. If you want to just take a minute to look through those, if you have any questions right now, we can certainly talk through them. I don't really want to read through a whole page of information to you, but we can again send these out after the meeting and talk about them more in the future. There's not a hard deadline on this congestion management process, so we have opportunity to come back through them. And then Tommy, if you would scroll to page 152. And this starts the section on the actual network that we're going to use in the congestion management process. So we, as I mentioned previously, worked with the TAC to define 4 facility classifications for that network. And those are included on the next page. So that is the strategic commercial and employment corridor, freight corridor, critical multimodal corridor, and multimodal hub. These are exactly the same as they were in the 2022 congestion management process. So we have not made any updates as of now. I know that when we did the workshop previously, we wanted to make sure that one, we could use some data-driven information to help us with our analysis for the CMP, but also we wanted to have some flexibility such that if a particular jurisdiction had a specific designation or a specific requirement that they wanted that to be included, say as a freight corridor, that we could add that based on the jurisdiction's need as well. And the intent again was to try to be flexible with that information. So the next few pages in the document go through maps of those. This is not new. These are not new maps yet. We just wanted to include these so you could see where they were in the 2022 CMP and kind of get an idea if there's anything that you as a jurisdiction say, you know what, I really think X or Y is missing, and I'd like to talk to staff about getting that added into this network. So if you as jurisdictions could take a few minutes over the next month to look through this and just let us know if you see something missing, if you're happy with the way these appear per the previous process, or if you're really if you really think we should have another workshop to go into more detail about this, we certainly can do that as well. So I think at this point, it's an information item. I'm happy to answer any questions folks have right now. If not, I will send this out after the meeting, just with those couple of questions that we would like input on for the next TAC.
Danielle, this is Todd.
Mm-hmm.
We'll definitely look at the multimodal corridor. I see some places where we might want to make some changes. So please, yeah, appreciate you sending the information out to us. If it doesn't, I was looking at the under multimodal corridor. That first bullet under the so critical multimodal corridor, so that first bullet says ADT count above 10,000. Is that just like a guidance? Because we have critical multimodal corridors with less than 10,000 vehicles a day. That's not a hard and fast criteria, or that makes sense.
Yes, it is not, and I'm sure Will can probably chime in if we need more specific information, since he kind of wrote these definitions, unless he hopped off. But yeah, our intent was to make this, and you'll see right after the transit route, there's an or there. So anything that has an ADT count above 10,000, anything that's a transit route, or anything that provides bike lanes, or anything that's included in the PPACG regional transportation demand model. So our intent is that it doesn't have to meet all of those standards to be a corridor. It just has to meet one of those standards. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I just need to read further, so that's okay. Thanks.
Okay.
Sorry.
No worries.
Yeah, and I'll just jump on and say, it's really what we're looking at is any two. Like the ADT is still going to be above 10,000, but at that point, if it's 10,000 and it's a transit route, or if it's above 10,000 or it provides the bike lanes, right? 10,000 or it's got a multi-use shoulder, multi-use trail, or something that spans from intersection to intersection, for that route segment. That's how it was considered.
Thanks, Will.
If I could also jump in, and Medora with CDOT, I know you're here for another presentation, but feel free to jump in since I know this is something you know about. You know, Todd, when we did this, it was the federal requirement to do the CMP, but as we were doing it, we also knew we had a lot of what the GHG rule was, and we tried to make sure we had everything we needed in there to comply with that. But it is not older than the things that have been happening with the land use stuff that the state did. And I think Colorado Springs is the one jurisdiction here that has to sort of also deal with all of those land use regulations that the state did. So if there is something special that you need in addition or a tweak so that you're also can use this for anything you might need from that land use perspective, with all of those changes that again happened in the legislature, but the year after, I think, just let us know. And Medora, I don't know if that's something again you've been keeping track on with all of the stuff that you've been doing now that you're over at CDOT, but feel free to help me out if you've got something helpful.
No, I think that's an interesting consideration, John. Thanks for mentioning that. I don't have any further thoughts at this time about congestion management process and how that relates to some of the new strategic growth laws, but I think that's worth more consideration. And either myself or Spencer York, who's on my team, are good contacts for land use questions at CDOT. So if you do come across any land use questions, please do send them to us.
Will do. So Todd, yeah, just let us know, and if you need us to get you to the right people over at CDOT, we're happy to do that.
All right, thanks, John.
Any other questions about this on this topic? Sounds like there are none. So if it's okay, let's move on to regional freight plan draft.
Okay. So today, Cambridge Systematics, our consultant, will present the draft regional freight plan, including an overview of the draft that is included in the packet here. So following today's discussion and feedback, staff is anticipating bringing this plan back to TAC next month for a recommendation to the board to release the draft plan for public comment. So at this time, I'd like to introduce our consultants, Richard Driscoll and Christina Leach from Cambridge Systematics. I'll turn it over to you guys.
Hey, yeah, thanks. Yep, I was just about to say, I think we have a PowerPoint. I can share my screen, but it looks like you've got it up here. You all have seen this come together over the last handful of months here, and we're finally getting to that point where we're looking to get approvals pretty shortly here. And so what we've done is we've pulled together the full draft plan. Like Josh said, it's available in your packets. I encourage you all to read through them. And so, yeah, again, I'll go through the kind of the contents, just summarize some of the stuff that came out as an outcome of like our workshop work and our engagement, and then just give an update on what you all can expect for deliverables and just next steps. So you can go to the next slide. The next page, I guess. So from the 10,000-foot view, the plan is a pretty standard approach, providing the introduction that kind of just like demonstrates what the plan is going to be about and what kind of we're expecting the outcomes to look like. The existing conditions provides those assets and operational conditions that are ongoing for the region, and then some deeper level of analysis as to some land use elements. Or I should say some traffic flow elements. The outreach section describes our outreach and engagement. I want to note while we're kind of on that piece too, the outreach element was a really important element of guiding the ultimate piece, which is this prioritization framework that you see at the 5th bullet there. It was really important that we gathered a lot of information from a lot of different stakeholders, private and public, and had guidance as to what kind of the needs are within the industry, and kind of what the vision is for the region from a planning level. And so the outreach element is really robust. I want to hand it to our sub-consultants, Wilson Company, Tim, who you all are familiar with, did a great job in kind of leading that outreach effort. And I think we put together a really responsive plan to the region. The next section is the project and corridors, which just summarizes some of the freight, some of the projects with and potential projects with freight impacts in the region. And then the last section is the prioritization framework, which outlines the specific goals, objectives, and performance measures, and will kind of serve as a toolkit for assessing projects and planning for decision makers like you all. It kind of gives that guidance as to like what are we looking for what are we looking for in projects to support freight in the region. So we can go to the next slide here. There it is. So the prioritization framework we all have seen before. It's that goals, objectives, and performance measures element in the plan. As you're reading through, I encourage you to spend time looking through the prioritization framework and the outreach elements. We want to ensure that we're capturing what we heard effectively and communicating it appropriately in the plan. And so that's where I would point you if you're going to spend most of your time in any two given sections. This is just a summary again of what's in there. You all have seen this before. You all guided a lot of these and then the decision making and the performance measures. And so again, thank you all for all the time that you spent with us kind of pulling this together. It really is going to become a meaningful element of what we ultimately deliver as a toolkit for decision making. You can go to the next slide. And so finally, as what we can expect for deliverables out of this plan, first it's going to be the final plan document. We have the draft version obviously shared with you all. You'll have an opportunity to review it and think through it. Next month, like Josh had mentioned, we'll be bringing this back again, seeking approval to go to the public, and then ultimately we'll get final approval there. We'll also provide some GIS mapping tools to help support decision making. A lot of the prioritization framework elements are driven by performance measures that are kind of indicating how are we doing it within a certain objective and goal area. And so these mapping tools will be resources within the PPACG community to understand, okay, well, can I zoom in on a specific location and get a little bit more detail that maybe you can't quite see at that plan document level, that actual PDF. The next piece will be grant funding resources for PPACG that'll allow you all to understand, okay, under a given condition, if we have a project program or we're thinking about programming a project, is it going to be viable, within the context of freight? What kinds of grants is it going to be able to pursue is maybe the way to put that. And so we'll provide some grant funding resources to help kind of guide folks as they're going through that process. And then the last piece is a checklist table. It's essentially kind of a tightened up version of the prioritization framework chapter within the plan to help, and quite frankly, going to be very similar to the table that was shown in the slide before this. To just say, okay, are we like looking at everything that we want to be looking at when we're making freight decisions, or when we're making decisions, I should say, in the context of freight. Obviously, freight doesn't live in a bubble. It's not the only thing that's the most important thing. It's none of those things. But it is an element of making decisions as to what gets programmed, what kinds of projects we're trying to complete, and how transportation, what our vision for transportation is in the region. And so the big outcome of this plan is we wanted to provide a resource for you all to be able to feel like you can reflect on and would help guide your decision making in the context of freight. Again, considering other contexts as well, but in the context of freight. And I think this last slide just speaks to just what you can expect over the course of the next 3 months, something of that nature. We'll come back to you all next month to get approval to go to the public comment period. We'll do the public comment period, and then after everything is all said and done there, we will come back with finalized plan document for adoption. And I believe that's it for the slideshow. It looks like John's hand is up.
Yeah, thanks, Richard. I also wanted to, and first off, let me apologize. I had to step out for a minute, so you might have already covered this, but if not, I just wanted to make sure it was mentioned because I think it's pretty important that not only do we have our regional freight plan here that we're working on today, but the state of Colorado has a freight plan. You need to be in this one to really have a chance to get into that one, and being in that one opens up some other funding boxes, right, at the federal level. Years ago, there wasn't that many sort of designated funding boxes at that national level, but there's been more opportunities lately. We don't know what the new reauthorization is going to be. I think it's called IR 250 or something, or Super Colossal Funding 250 or something. I forget the acronym they're working with. But being in this plan is very important to being in the state plan and to open those federal boxes. Can you touch on that a little bit, or Christina?
Yeah, Christina, go for it.
Yeah, that's a great mention. So yeah, we don't know what the funding is going to look like. That is still definitely out there for reauthorization. But what we did for this plan is we looked at the funding sources that are available for freight. And we actually did have CDOT. We work really closely with Eric Adeni at CDOT. Review that section too, to make sure that that we portrayed that relationship correctly. And she also mentioned that she definitely wants PPACG to be a part of their working groups and freight as they develop their freight plan coming up. So she was really comfortable with that, because there are a couple of different sources, and again, they might end up being by a different name, but there's the freight funding that comes directly to CDOT, and that's where it's really important to get your priorities into the CDOT plan as well, to promote that funding and make that funding available. There's a couple other ones such as Infra and Chrissy that a lot of projects in this area could potentially end up being packaged with other projects with CDOT. So potentially they're the lead, but it impacts your area. So I think just keeping that communication going will be really important moving ahead. And CDOT is definitely on board and wanting to do that, and aware of this project to be able to assist with how the best way to just package those projects together and really show it at a regional level.
And John, I think it's build 250, but do not quote me on that. I don't know for sure.
No, I think you're right. Yeah, build infrastructure 250. It's got a clever acronym. They always want to come up with something, but all I remember is they put the 250 in there.
So I think at this time we can take some questions if there were any thoughts or concerns or anything that anyone wanted to communicate. Otherwise, please spend some time over the course of the next month before our next meeting to make comments, or come up with ideas as to what you think you like, dislike, or want changed, I guess, in the plan. We'll bring this back to you all for adoption come next meeting. So anything that you want to communicate,
Thanks,
over
Richard.
the course of the next month.
Thank you. Are any other questions or comments? Let's move on to the standing item, transit updates.
Hi, everyone. I think we have one more item before the transit items.
Oh, did I skip street? I skipped streetlight. I'm so sorry. Let's
I'll be
back
back.
up.
Don't worry.
I'll back up to streetlight renewal.
Journey's very upset.
Yeah, I absolutely understand.
All right, everybody, just as an information item, this month we'll bring it back for action next month. But once again, it's time to renew our original license for traffic data. On that license and contract is currently with Streetlight. We are heading into the third year of that contract. So this will be the last year that we can renew the existing contract, but that means the funding and everything stays the same as it has been for previous years. Rolling forward, it still requires a local match then of $49,736.90. Previously, that had been paid by both Colorado Springs and El Paso County, except for 2026, that was paid entirely by the city of Colorado Springs. The rest of the funds comes out of STBG. And the good news is that it's already been included in the tip. So the funds are there if TAC would like to continue to support this program. And if so, then we'll go ahead and get in contact with Streetlight and start working on the contract renewal, which will take the existing service to the end of 2027. Are there any questions at all?
Will, Todd Frisbee, not a question, but City of Colorado Springs is still dedicated to supplying the local match.
Perfect. All right, we will again bring this forward again next month for a vote. If there are any questions or anything that comes up, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. If TAC approves this, like I said, then we'll be in touch with Streetlight and set up everything to continue the service uninterrupted until the end of next year.
Thank you, William. And thank you to the city as well for continuing to sponsor Streetlight. Or being willing to sponsor Streetlight if needed. Words are all we have. I apologize for that. Okay.
This is
Thanks,
Tom.
Thanks, Todd.
One last thing. That's actually a question for Will. I didn't ask it quick enough. Is this just remind me? Is this a 5-year? Do we have like a 5-year contract with Streetlight with an option to renew each year? Is that generally how it works?
We had a 3-year contract with the option to renew to lock in the pricing for those 3 years. That was all we could get out of Streetlight to lock the pricing in.
Okay.
And so 2027, this will be the last time that we can renew. So next year, what we would have to do is reissue an RFP and solicit proposals back from Streetlight and other vendors, and then reevaluate and go through that process again.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I get calls all the time from people who offer their latest and greatest, service. And I keep telling them, we've got a great deal with PPACG, so go talk to Will at PPACG.
Yeah, appreciate you sending them all my way.
I'll keep sending them your way. So, but yeah. So, okay. I just couldn't remember it was 3 or 5 years. Thank you, Will.
Sure thing.
How is the City of Colorado Springs extended warranty?
We're still committed. As long as you guys are committed.
There you go. Thank you. Okay, now transit updates.
Transit planner at PPACG. So just an update on the Fort Carson microtransit. This is the transit system that is replacing their fixed route. It started on June 1st. So just within 2 weeks, they had over 5,000 rides. This is the free service for active military members, their families, any civilian workers on post. So it's going well. If you remember, there was a presentation back in April. So I just wanted to provide an update that it has been going well, and that phase 2, so having service off post, will be coming within the next 6 months to a year. So it's going well. Secondly, an update on the Front Range passenger rail. There's been conversations about having a northern Colorado Springs station. It has not been decided if this will be a special event station or it will be part of the route that will stop there every time. Again, this is just conversations that have just been started. So no, the location itself, I don't think has been chosen, but it'll be in the Northgate area. Secondly, there will be, they're still planning on going to the ballot this November. The language of the ballot question has not been decided, but they're still working towards that. And then thirdly, I guess the last item is Bike to Work Day will be next Wednesday. So get your bikes out. It's been great weather. There's stations all around the city. So there's a website that has a map of all the stations. Another plug for PPACG, there will be breakfast burritos for the first 30 bikers. So stop by, we'll be there, be a great station, music and coffee. So bike to work and just try to promote biking as another form of transportation. That's all I have. If any questions or anything?
Okay. Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you. Christina, your hand is raised.
Oh.
Or not? I thought. Wait, never mind then. Well, thank you, everyone.
Okay, Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act and grants update. It's a standing item. Is there a report today?
Short report today. We have the list of open funding opportunities in the memo, of course. Several things due in the next couple of weeks here. I have not seen anything else big come out recently, but we will keep our eyes open for that. I did want to provide a little bit of information on a couple of state opportunities that we know are coming up. Colorado Safe Routes to School grant is expected to open in August. If anyone is interested in that, or if you know your school districts might be interested in that. And then CDOT folks can talk to the TAP, the bridge program, and then the HSIP if those are if there's any more information about those grant opportunities. Just circling back a little bit to the end of IIJA, and wanted to provide some of that update from Jared that is on the Build America 250 Act that's intended hopefully to replace IIJA. If you have not read through it, and it's very, very long, just some of the highlights, at least from the MPO perspective. The bill would include some increased funding for MPOs, much greater focus on formula versus grant funding. It would maintain safe streets and roads for all. So the safety action plans that we've all been working on, that opportunity would continue. There would be more focus on funding dedicated to local projects. Let's see. Slightly less funding for transit. However, the transit reduction was perhaps not as extensive as some people thought it may have been. Right now, they're not. The outlook right now is not that it will get through the Senate this year. Their word right now is that we would be expecting a continuing resolution. Of course, everything changes sometimes very quickly, but just wanted to let you know what the latest that we've heard is, and happy to share any information that we receive with all of you. Does anyone have any questions on any of these, or are there any like letters of support you know that you'll be requesting from us? Anything we can help you with? And hearing nothing, I think we can move on. Thank you.
Thanks, Danelle. And Colorado Department of Transportation, all the news that we can use. Any updates or reports?
Hi all, this is Medora Bornhoft with CDOT headquarters. I think I get to go first here today. So wanted to follow up on one item about future calls for projects coming up before I jump into some MMOF updates. We are planning to launch the next Safe Routes to School call and the next TAP call this October. So be on the lookout later this fall for safe routes to school and transportation alternatives funding opportunities. And for MMOF, I have a presentation to share. Let's see if I can get this on the screen. Is that showing through?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes.
So I work out of the Office of Multimodal Planning, and one of our grant programs is MMOF. Michael Snow leads this program, and he provided an update to the stack earlier this month on MMOF. And I'm going to share just the same slides I went to stack to you all today, give you a chance to see them and ask any questions. So in this most recent legislative session, the state legislature passed 2 bills that impact the state's MMOF program. One of them, House Bill 1399, eliminates the next 3 years of general fund transfers into the program. That's $10.5 million per year, or $31.5 million overall, that is not flowing into the program as we had been expecting. They also passed House Bill 1398, which changes the share of funding flowing into the state program and the local program. You may recall, as set up in state statute, the MMOF program has a 15% share that flowed to CDOT, primarily to busing, and the other 85% flowed into the local program, which was then awarded out by our MPOs and TPR planning partners. And that was 85% of the total. So what this bill did was change the share so that 30% now goes to the state program and 70% goes to the local program. Both of these bills were passed by the legislature due to the fiscal situation that the state budget was in. And in the case of 1398, the legislature's desire to keep funding levels for busing from the MMF program static without reducing those levels. So those bills, now that they're passed, we took a comprehensive look at forecasts for funding in this program to get updated projections for the local program. As part of that, we are accounting for some expected interest earnings, another $6.2 million expected over the next 3 years. And our forecasts also show slightly lower retail delivery fee estimates than we had previously forecasted. So we're bringing all of these adjustments into our updated forecast that we are sharing with you, and is also available on the MMOF website, where this information is also available. So as a summary of this impact of funding, the busing share has been adjusted through that bill, and it's keeping the funding level static. Overall program impact, these bills are reducing MMOF funding by 36%. And in the local program over the next 3 years, the reduction is almost half reduced funding levels. Future years beyond 2029 are also going down a bit just due to some of those other changes I mentioned. So one other piece we took a look at is the administrative costs for the program. So one thing that has always happened is a small portion of the local program has been set aside for administrative costs for CDOT to support administration of the program. And this goes for the overall grant program, and along with all the region staff who support projects and getting them across the finish line. So originally, this was a 5% set aside from the local program. More recently, it was at 2% set aside. Last year, you may recall, there was a large sweep of funds from the state legislature, $71.4 million, that was taken back from the program. And at that time, our admin fund had a pretty healthy balance. So to offset that large impact, we did return $3 million from the admin fund to the local program for awarding out, or to sort of absorb some of that reduction from the legislative sweep of funds. Now, at this point, our admin fund is nearly depleted, and we are also expecting about $1 million of staff charges over the next year. We do have a lot of MMOF projects that are advancing, And so we are proposing to move excuse me, 900,000 into the set aside, and then going forward, use a 3% set aside to keep funding levels sufficient within that admin fund. So last year when that sweep happened, MPOs and TPRs took a close look at their awards to reconstrain them to the new projections. For this updated financials, we are not recommending MPOs and TPRs do that. We are recommending using a backfill strategy, using your projections in 2030 and 2031 to preserve your existing awards so you don't have to go through that exercise. It was a pretty extensive exercise, and we have a lot of uncertainty about what the funding levels will be for this program going forward, because every year the legislature could choose to do something different. So this is sort of a status quo approach. Keep your current awards whole by using what's currently projected to be coming into your pools in 2030 and 2031. What this does is maintains your existing awards. Projects that are ready to go can come forward and request access to their funds. And if we still have funds available at that moment in time, we will obligate them to the project. If we have not yet received the appropriation from the state government, projects may need to wait a year or maybe 2 years to get access to their funds. And through this way, we can encourage projects that are ready to come forward and get their funds obligated and spent. And projects that are not yet ready may face additional delays in accessing their funds. So this explains a little bit more about this cash management approach. One thing we're going to do to improve information and transparency for project sponsors is collect some project schedule information so that we can better understand what the needs are from projects about when they want to be accessing their funding, compare that across the state and also to what we're expecting to get appropriated each year. To create a schedule of when we think projects can access their funding, just to give folks a little bit more information. We understand some project sponsors, this is a lot of uncertainty to deal with about when they can access their funds. And some may choose to return their awards or seek funding elsewhere. But we do think we're working sort of with the best that we can given the situation with these budget changes from the legislature. So some next steps, there's no action required from PPACG. We do recommend withholding any additional award making until at least next year. You do have a small portion of your 2031 funds that you could award as early as next year. You could also hold off on making awards until closer to that time when the funding levels will be more known. For local agency project sponsors, next step include continuing consistent communication with your CDOT project manager to assist with creating those project phase schedules. We also have a request out for current projects who have any outstanding invoices that have not yet been submitted to CDOT. We're strongly encouraging projects to get those invoices in, get them paid as we close out the state fiscal year at the end of this month. So if you have a project and you have an outstanding invoice, please get that into your CDOT project manager. And the next steps for CDOT are working on that project schedule and sharing information with each awarding agency and addressing any questions you have. So this is the last slide. This is also available on our website. This shows the reduction for each awarding agency. So Pikes Peak, with your project awards for the next 3 years, totaling about 5.6 million, and your 3-year allocation over that time frame now at 2.9 million, that's a 2.7 million shortfall that you can make up by extending the awards out to 2030 and 2031. It does consume all of your 2030 and a good portion of your 2031, leaving this 845,000 as unawarded 2031 funds that you can award out later if you choose. But as I said, for now, I recommend just holding on it since there have been so many changes to the amount of funding. And that is the end of this presentation. I'll turn it back and see what questions you have.
Are there any questions? Sure, they'll brew out later, but thank you so much for that report. Any other reports from CDOT?
This is John Hall. I would love to give something real quick if that's all right.
Yes, please.
All right. It came up at we have a city county quarterly meeting, El Paso County, Colorado Springs, and ourselves. Admittedly, we've had in the past where the meeting has gone on for hours and hours and hours. So we're not trying to help it get too out of control again, because it's down to about an hour meeting. But a thought came up at that meeting to just see if I think there are some particularly military-based agencies that are here at the TAC meeting, to see if there was any, to just ask if there was any interest in attending that meeting, listening in, things like that. And John Lasatos, if you don't mind, I mean, I don't think we need to discuss it here. I think if you wouldn't mind, if it's possible, I could ask you to just send an email maybe to the group, to that such group and me, and just, you know, so they can voice to me over email their interest or not interest, whatever, and then we can make a decision on potentially inviting them in the future. The next one's not for 3 months, but.
Yeah, happy to help.
Okay, thank you. That's all I wanted to bring up.
Any other CDOT business? Okay, well, that brings us to member
Did,
entity announcement. Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, Dan, I saw Kathleen kind of look like she started, but maybe not. So Kathleen, Jeff, you guys are good?
Yeah, I'll just be really brief. Thanks for listening to me. So the STAC meeting for July has been canceled, and the next STAC meeting is scheduled for August 6th and will be virtual. The TC met today, and they had workshops on Wednesday regarding incident response. An update on that. The North Front Range MPO presented their transportation report for greenhouse gas. There was an interchange access request for I-25 Happy Valley, a budget workshop on the SIB loans and Colorado 119 TC reserve request. And there was a Innovative Mobility Committee meeting with an e-bike safety update, and Region 3 gave an update on their programs. And then items that were passed during the June meeting included the passage of the STIP for fiscal year 27 through 2030, and authorization of opening the rules and assignment of hearing officers for 3 policies that they wanted to have reviewed by the public and maybe have changes: chain laws and passenger vehicle traction law, another one for use of waste tires for noise mitigation, and highway utility accommodation code revisions. So they're all being opened up to be examined for changes. And then the North Front Range MPO greenhouse gas transportation report was accepted by the TC via the consent agenda at this meeting today, as far as I understand. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Kathleen. Okay, are there any announcements from member entities? Hearing none, items for future TAC meetings. Jonathan, you have anything, or Danielle, or Josh?
I don't think there's anything that we haven't kind of covered today.
Very good. I'm excited to announce that I'm looking for a motion to adjourn. Oh, please.
This is Todd Frisbee. I make a motion to adjourn.
Thanks, Todd. A second? It's an honor to make a second.
Dies for lack of a second. You all have to stay here forever.
You're in the hot room. We're not. I make a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Bye.
Anyone want to stay or watch John to stick around? Hearing none, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Dan.
Have a great one. Take care.